It's a little off, 11:30. I was kind of hoping it was later than it is. Making good time. Hope the day warms up a little bit more then. It's only 11:30. I was about an hour off, actually, to be fair. But that's all right. I don't usually clock most of the day. Just 30, so hopefully that sun will come out again. But the river's protecting my pentagram in every sense. I'll go a little closer so I'll get some better photos. I ran into Jay, which was worth it. I'll always feel this element like, hey, man, we went that day. It was like, I was just going to take a picture of the most important pentacle I ever made. Good things. Woo, down. So this is basically the shape of the rune used for a curse. You could probably use any rune for a curse, but I use Nothis. It is the most imposing one. It's no threat to the sanctity of the immune system of any person. If anything, it sounds cracks into that level, which is through anything that is disordered, to find what deprivations, what necessities, what starvations of the mind. Our brain parasite is violent. Their mind is starving, really. People will be in cults, they think they've got the greatest love of the world, but they're starving for love. And they'll have a lot of negative personality traits. We say hypocrisy, right? There's so many stories I could tell of people like, they say they're all about this and this and this, and then you notice how they behave to other people. People maybe. And it was neat, like this one person who had all this spiritual music, Hinduism, philosophy, Qigong, all this shit, right? And they exposed them to the music of a man I knew, a friend of mine. So it was basically locally produced music of a classical nature. And right away she hated it. She couldn't get me to turn it off fast enough. Why? Because these people have brain parasites, right? And everything they listen to, popular music and all that spiritual music, feeds the parasite in the brain. Love this, love that, feeds the parasite. So it had something that really wasn't parasitical. Basically accused it of being human and or depressing. It was very thoughtful music. And it's fine if you find it depressing, it's one thing, but nobody listens to your friend's music and just says, oh, that depresses me, and dismisses it. Might say, it sounds a bit sad. I don't know if it be to my taste right now, but it is beautiful. You'd say something like that, right? These people are schizoids. And this same guy got it from another person I know, a woman who picked up many times. And she would come up to me in town when I'm talking to him and act like he didn't exist. Just they wouldn't even see him. They couldn't stand his energy, right? They couldn't stand somebody who was so natural, right? Right, beautiful. And to say the truth, though, his girlfriend came to my house to sexually assault me. So, who was a cougar. So, there are females to be had on that island. Don't go to Salt Spring Island to meet women. Even though they're like 3-1. It's just like women to men. It's just, yikes. So white women almost had it too good. Even though it's not good for them, they've had too much power. And they've been given it for the wrong reasons. And it's the power to raise their voice above men, the power to silence the voices of men. When women are more likely to get with child abuse and the sexual abuse of children than men are. You just have to talk to men. Talk to people who are homeless. Talk to homeless men. Ask them how women are treated. And a lot of them aren't even mad at women. Or they don't think they are. There's so much inebriate rage, right? But they don't admit to it. They can't. And they've been abused by my mothers and their fathers and their sisters or their brothers. right? Just because they're above average human beings and there's no place for us in the world. But there is. The earth is always going to be the right place for great human beings. So I'm glad I took off a couple layers of clothing today because once the temperature goes down, I don't really need one, which is nice. And hopefully February things are starting to warm up nicely. So I don't feel like my mom really has my back. She's a bit weird. She's never known how to provide a home for anybody. Stability of home is not something she's been good at. Respecting people she invites into the home. And, you invited me here. You can do it. It's just weird, isn't it? Of course. Hardly. You're more likely to meet women visibly and orally insane, hysterical, and psychotic. They're more likely to lose your temper with you if they work for the government. You're dealing with them at the DMV. They can't handle criticism. They can't. They don't have that poise. A lot of women, for different types of poisoning growing up, have never learned to really balance their mind. It doesn't matter how much yoga they do. In fact, the more yoga they do, the worse it is, right? And they approach men with a lot of sexual eagerness. Women have a lot more sexual problems. They're a lot more likely to be gluttons, a lot more likely to be addicted to sex, a lot more likely to be sexually aggressive, to sexual assault, sexual harassment. It's much more prevalent among women. And so it's also more protected, which is why it's prevalent. It's a dark side of society. People don't see it, they don't hear it, which is just as bad, in my opinion. Oh, sure. Left my pocket open. Shouldn't do that. There we go. Good. Yeah, it stays positive. That would be nice. I think I left my stone there. That's okay. I might have it in my pocket. Well, so remember now, people parasites, and they're hurting you. They don't know what they're doing. They, quote, know not what they do. They're schizoids. They have no idea what they're doing. They could be raping you and thinking that you're raping them. They could be hostile to you. The only hostility is yours. They could be the most hostile people you ever met. And the moment you lose your temper, they'll be like, you're hostile. You're hostile. Right? And you wonder, how can these people do that? Their entire brain has taken the shape of a parasite, induced, groomed, and advanced by how people live. Because the way they live, you've fallen into it. You're highly suggestible. And groups, in the way that you take the shape of what groups do for you, group and why, in the way that you take the shape of what groups do to you and why, people always make violence inevitable at an electrical level. So your family will always discharge violence to other people. And post-family, your work, your jobs, your church, everything else. So why would you want to be a part of groups, right? If those groups are so prone to violence. And so there are people like me who haven't been in groups in their whole life. One day you'll listen to George Carlin saying to Charlie Rose, hey, no white people in groups, even two of them, on national TV. And no one bats an eye because George Carlin is saying it. But if I tell you, you don't believe me, right? right? It's been designed that way by think tanks. Right? If you don't know how group psychology works, it's probably new to you. But violence isn't new to you, and it's certainly not new to your family or your group. And people say, there's all this violence in the world, you know, blacks have been hurt, native people have been hurt, and a lot of that is bullshit, you know. And even if it isn't, it's not fair to use it to justify what blacks do to blacks, what people do, white, black, or whatever, within their own families, right? These are choices, these are decisions that are made. And if we spent more time dealing with this than worshiping that fucking leprous fucking God in the sky and his illegitimate fucking children, we'd be done by now, right? So the whole world, in its extra occupational labors and worship, is basically acting like you're fucking homeless people that haven't done a fucking thing in their life. It's an expression of the dislocation of the brain. And it takes people into the most parasitical nature of the human mind, which becomes effectively ratified and codified by the sheer depth and range of its persuasion throughout society. TV, music. That's why I don't listen to these popular people, these pieces of shit. Your favorite character on TV is a cunt weevil, essentially. Who's probably slowly killing her boyfriend one day at a time. And they show you, you know, women bring men to ruin and physical harm. Bring men to ruin and physical harm. And if a man lets them, it's his fault. It's always the man's fault. So I have a different electrical setup. I think it's accurate. Okay, so I had one crap. I think the second one is building. That's good. That'd be, it's going to be my third one of the day. Yeah, so I've a lot of supportive things about Native people, that original day. But at the end of the day, too, like a lot of Native people fucked up. You know, there's a lot of brain parasites among their families. You know, and I've decided to stop giving them so much deference. The same thing with women. The same thing with black people. It's like, you know, every black person in my family is a violent person. Every Native person I've ever known, save one, is a violent person or is tremendously mentally ill. You know, it's not that someone is a race they're great, you know, someone is a race they're bad, really. And it's no longer going to be someone is a race therefore they're good, someone is a gender therefore they're good, or I'm going to adjust my sense of preferences. The only people I would say that is lesbians. Lesbians are quite normally the most exceptional females I meet, which tells you something about my interest in women. It's not sexual, right? That's even the young females who are kind of like, ooh, hi, you know, their vaginas are disgusting. And I mean is like, even not just physically. It's like your genitals relate to your mind and your blood, your creative faculties, your purity, your upstandingness, right? Finding gifts. It's nice. Really interesting things. Thank you. So I felt like my mom was a little averse to me when I was going to do. Even though she bought me a couple drinks, it was just like for the fridge. Yeah, just odd. We'll be able to break in about 10 or 12 minutes here. Again, I take those breaks. If you don't listen, you don't understand why. It's a greenstone. I like greenstones. It'd be nice to take with me too. Like sometimes crops will come really quickly. I'll be like, ooh, wow, I really gotta go. Other times it's like, I feel like you're getting a crop, but you don't. One day I was like, I needed another crop, and then the next day I got up and I had a huge super crop. So it's like, you know, it finds its way. The colon's got a mind of its own. I had 2 good crops today, so I'm thinking about that. It was great. I could see the shit that comes out of my ass. You know, beautiful long snakes, cords of beautiful bright brown excrement. Little bits of carrots in them which never seem to digest properly. It's like, yeah. Probably reheat it. Okay, nearing another stop. Whoa, there's a lot of snow here. Really good. Look at that. All melted down. The trees are like, you got all branches back. Thank you. Mix some rain, blah, blah, blah. I was trying to figure out the benefit to the trees of having lots of snow around them. And it stretches them. Maybe it's a good stretch. They break sometimes. That's a chance to let certain branches go. It's their time. Move on in their journey. And wood, when it's laying on the ground, trees, they're still alive. Anything that can carry sound is alive. Sound is basically like people say like you can make a flute sing. It's like the flute is alive, right? Sound makes things come to life. Right? You could sing a song and be like, oh, you're not really putting your heart into it. Yeah. Now, you start singing it with a little gusto. Whoa! The song starts to take a life of its own, right? Playing the guitar, same thing. You go into a zone where it's like, whoa, this thing's playing itself now, right? You and the guitar are like one. Same thing with your voice. Look at all there is for the eyes to take in, right? We've been given a great gift on this earth to be here. It's a great gift. And I don't think I honestly enjoy it as much as I should. I enjoy a lot, but I don't have peace in my heart. So I don't presume to say that. I saw an author's over there. I think the curse is coming across. It's a good curse. You got it across. You'll be alright. Okay, let's bobbles. Boop. Boopity boop. This is where we are. Great. guess. Wow, this stone has a beautiful picture on it. That was definitely from my mom and me. I need to come on. There are those who wish me harm, who have no reason or right to. There's one, my longest stalker, my most violent stalker, was someone that local parasites would have said, parasite would say, and did to me, is the nicest person around. Okay. This is what white women would tell you. This is the nicest woman around. The most violent, longest running stalker I've ever had. Right? Sexually assaulted my mother, sexually assaulted me, sleeps with married men, right? Does drugs with the men with whom she conceives her children, like cocaine and heroin, steals from people who are doing her job, and lies, and carries on in all kinds of degraded ways with degraded people. But that's not the reason I called social services. The reason I called social services was because she was making about depriving her children of food and making jokes about abusing her children, her child, who was a baby. And just to make jokes about it. Right? And her sister, clearly a mentally deranged person. I mean, how much do you have to know about someone to say, I think it's good to do a welfare check, if ever there was a good time to do a welfare check? And her sister told her, I ill-advisedly told her sister that I did this, and her sister told her. And you see, 10 years she was stalking me, telling any woman she could find that remotely knows me that I'm a rapist. And you could tell by how these women change in their demeanor toward me. A man who's never even had sex, right? A woman who sexually assaults strange women she invites in her home to do healing of all things, and invites men to help her do it. And does it while I'm even present in the house. Okay? And invites me so this person can molest me if they want to, who's talking about me being a rapist. You see the parasite of the human mind. That person is dying. And I strongly encouraged childcare services to go look on the child a second time. And they sort of accused me of having an agenda. I said, you know what? You're there to make sure children are okay. It's not about me. It's about the welfare of this child. That's basically what it's about. As long as it's good, as long as you know it's good, that's great. If you trust it's good, good. But I don't think she got the message the first time. That's what I'm telling you. Because even if you thought that I misjudged the first time, how could you possibly imagine that this woman should have a child around? Imagine what she exposes this child to. And there are other people in her family that we know that she has a problem. She has a mental problem. Yeah, that's how you deal with one sick female. Just look at that. Look at how much energy she's robbed from the world around her. They killed their own family dog because they didn't feel like having it anymore. While talking about love and a beautiful spot. Oh, there's a nut here. Somebody's come here and had nuts. Hopefully they're not my nuts. Cool. We'll call it quits on that. And later. All right, well. Yes. Well, it seems pretty peaceful. You know what? Let's do something I haven't done for a while. Okay? Let's write some poetry. Shall we? That's kind of how I really made my reputation as a totally unknown poet. Here we go. The way these stones scattered among the earth and lay somehow delicately upon these is where they rest. And numbered among such alone, from whose great depths can be drawn, a mighty people whose limbs reach out to the sun as do mine, whose boughs draw forth their song, as does my own breath, from each successive aspiration of the last. I would draw forth this day if I could, and make all things sound. So saith the Son of Man, of Satan. And not to you, not to anyone listening, but it's a little scary to me how my voice has changed over the years. People are so lucky when they're writers in the public arena, which is really the corporate banking arena. It's like, you write this, you get some money, call yourself an author, you sign some books. But when your voice just lives and breathes out here, and you wonder, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to get even worse people attacking me? I've been attacked by such virulent parasitical creatures. Buses, bus drivers, health food stores, women and male, other supermarkets, male and female, and walking, sitting on a log like this, retired teachers, daycare workers, and then through these experiences, becoming more clear about what I can sense about other people. Sense or feel. Like, I ran into that one lady today and I said, I don't really like when, I hate it when they say, hey, I've seen you walking around, but I very quickly deduced that, she was probably an okay person, and then just changed my heart about it. Like, okay, I'm going to call that positive. I don't have to go home with her. Because I've had women like her, unfortunately, invite me to sleep in their bed. Just one day it's like, hey, do you want to sleep in my bed? And it's like, no, but thanks anyway. Do you want to sit on my lap? And whereas to a woman, they may see casual, or a man, and something like see this to a woman, a very casual statement. It's not casual. It's, and I will leave the scene pretty swiftly when I encounter that type of thing. Okay, so I'll just get some water. I like to keep water going.